I don't know where most of my subs hail from. Where they live, I do not know. And I do know for a fact, though, that all do not live in North Dakota. So I'm definitely not a local channel. I have several from Canada. One, a pretty good friend. Now, rumor has it, from reliable sources, people, one even lives in Iowa. An old friend, we'll call him Rudy, was born and raised there. He'd always say when asked, Iowa was a mindset more than a state. His evidence? Iowa. IOWA is an acronym for idiots out walking around. His words, people, not mine. Stay tuned, because I'm just getting started. It is, after all, Wednesday the 24th of February, 2021. Mild winter, or mild weather. A little bit of ugly winter reared its head yesterday. Looks kind of hazy out there this morning. And I ain't liking it. I had to go to work at the Charlie Foxtrot. I'll tell you what, people, I'll give them credit for trying to get stuff done, but they failed miserably. It took us from 8 a.m. to 1:30 to try to load 3 containers of shit wheat. Why do I call it shit wheat? Am I anti-wheat? No. This is the stuff that sits on the ground, the stuff that you would burn and bury. But no, they pack it in intermodals and ship it overseas. America sends their best. And this isn't stepped on, people. This is not blending. This is pure dope. Anyhow, farmers, ranchers out there, help me on this one. How does wheat react when it's wet and it's snow covered? And you try to put it through your loading equipment. And you try to sample with my equipment. And you try to inspect these containers as snow's blowing in the back of them. Yeah, well, there you have it. Production at its finest. Rightfully so did I call it Charlie Foxtrot. Today, we are going to go hit it hard. The good wheat. Hope they did some plowing out there, because even their, although crippled, yet mobile hustlers and move the containers around, we're slip sliding away. No doubt. All right. So by now, people, let's change this up a little bit. I got to go over here. We all know about Texas. And speaking of Texas, let's talk about just a few points here. The Texas power grid. There's 3 power grids. East, West, and Texas has their own. It's far worse shape than people think. And they were just moments away from a catastrophic failure that could have resulted in blackouts for months. Can you imagine no electricity for months? As I'm reading from an article here, it's called The Temporary Collapse of Texas is Foreshadowing the Total Collapse of the United States. It's from the Economic Collapse blog. So bear with me here. That was on February 18th. Now back to the Texas power grid. Was seconds and minutes away from a catastrophic failure that could have left Texans in the dark for months, officials with the entity that operates the grid said Thursday, as millions of customers throughout the state began to have power restored after days of massive blackouts. Officials with the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or their acronym ERCOT, which operates a power grid that covers most of the state, said Texas was dangerously close to a worst-case scenario, uncontrolled blackouts across the state. Think about it, people. Worst-case scenario. Unbelievable. And from what was the cause of this? What was the cause of this? Winter weather. And then they go into the total failure of the wind turbines. I call them the stupid effing windmills. Hey, now what's wrong with this picture? I live and work in North Dakota. Now, Texas always brags about how big things are in Texas. But I'll tell you what, their weather ain't bigger than up here in North Dakota. And I worked outside at the Charlie Foxtrot when it was brutally and miserably cold. How come our stupid windmills that are about 20 miles from me, none of them froze up? I mean, what is wrong with this picture? And then finally, this article does cover the food shortages. The food shortages, people, I'm telling you. So anyhow, what have I told you, people? Over and over again. Prepare. Buy now, while merchants still take your funny money. Make your list, people. Check it twice. You got to find out who's naughty or nice. Oops, that's kind of the wrong subject. That's the Creator versus Santa subject. I think I already covered that in a previous video. There was and is a solution. Atomic was always the way to go, but perhaps not as you might think. Replacing massive coal generating plants, natural gas or oil-fired, with massive nukes does not solve anything. The transmission problem is 99% of it. Antiquated. Take trees, strip them of their bark and their branches, screw them in the ground, run miles of high-resistant DC transmission lines. Insanity. Resistance people. 18% line loss. Pushing power from Hazen, North Dakota to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Insanity. But, hey, did you notice I didn't mention wind, solar, or geothermal? Because they are joke people. And I'm not a comedian. Nope. Don't plan it. Well, I've never been a freelance singer either. I am a freelance investigator with an action-packed expense account. Now, I mentioned back in the day, several of us, many of them heavy hitters, created a nuclear advocacy group back in the early 90s, back in the day, called Dakota Nuclear. We had the solution. And in upcoming videos, I will share more details. Besides myself, we had Sil Melro. Sil Melro from Melro Bobcat. Yeah, the Melro family created the Bobcat people. Yep. They were bought out. Rob Dupuis, whistleblower from Westinghouse's Waste Isolation Project. What a joke that Westinghouse project was. And Al Fletcher Prouty. Who's he? Did you ever see the Oliver Stone movie, JFK? Yeah, well, Donald Sutherland played Prouty in the movie. And Prouty was the colonel that went down to McMurdo Sound, Antarctica, to torch off the PM-3 reactor, making that naval base totally energy independent. As I said before, the Navy can do it, other countries can do it, but we can't do it. Go figure. And then, of course, Galen Windsor, nuclear chemist, who learned the technology from the creators of the technology. Hey, he lived... I put him up in our house for, a number of months back in the day, back in the early 90s. So Galen learned this technology from the creators of technology, back at Hanford, Washington, back in the day, way back in the day. As promised, I will cover Dakota Nuclear's solution in an upcoming video, but I decided there's way too many people out there that hear the term nuclear or atomic and turn their heads. I don't want to hear anymore. It's bad stuff, bad news, no good. Yeah, well, we'll get to the point of who put that thought in their minds, too. Oh, yeah, it's a conspiracy, people. Oh, yeah, there's a hidden agenda. So let's start with this negative stuff first. Why not? I'm leaving a link to an hour-and-a-half video, one of Galen Windsor's many group discussions. Hey, before TED Talks, the nuclear scare scam. It's one of his many nationwide appearances. In fact, his last event was a Dakota Nuclear-sponsored event in North Dakota. Nope. South Dakota. Nope. Believe it or not, in Whitefish, Montana, where men are men and sheep are nervous. I do encourage you to watch the link video. And if you won't overcome your fear of radiation, we won't get anywhere with solutions. Stuff to do, people. Yeah. They're going to be high productive out at the Charlie Foxtrot. Anybody want to take a bet how that works out? You know what, you guys? Like I said, I got stuff to do. You're going to have to stand by for more.